Hey guys, my name is Adam Mitchell, and a year ago I went to Europe, and while there, we visited Poland and went to the concentration camp Auschwitz. 80 years ago, that camp and the camp right next to it, also called Birkenau, were used to kill millions of people, many of which were Jews and other prisoners of the Germans that they captured in the war. The people would be brought in on train cars and they'd be brought into this area and they'd be brought out after days of being in those train cars. And then, like the German judge people, they would just tell them to go right or left. And if they sent them one way, then they'd be sent to either the gas chambers and they'd be killed within the next 5 minutes, or they'd send them to a life of misery within the camps. Those people, as they entered the archway, they knew, or at least most of them knew, that within 10 minutes or 15 minutes of them going under this archway and going along this train track, they would be killed. As I was walking along this archway and along this railroad track, I started to think about, or I started to ask myself these questions. If I were to die within 10 to 15 minutes, what would my regrets be? What would I be happy with or satisfied that I had done? And what do I wish that I could have done instead? This whole experience for me was actually quite emotional at the time and has affected my life up until this point in my life now, and that's why I'm sharing this right now with my limited knowledge, what I have learned with you guys. After my experience visiting Auschwitz and Birkenau, I learned of a book written by Bronnie Ware, and she writes about the top 5 regrets of the dying. Number 1, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. So many of us, including myself, fall into the temptation of conformity. Conformity being the act of being and living in a way like everyone else is or lives. And because we conform, we lose the most valuable thing that has ever been given to us, and that is our identity. We are who we are for a reason, and when I say that, I don't mean like we're set, we don't ever need to worry about changing or improving. We still need to be working on becoming our best selves, but we have a mission and we have something that we need to do in life, and something that we can contribute to the lives of others and everyone around us. And falling into conformity doesn't let us do that. Falling into conformity means that we can't live that life, the life where we have a meaning and our mission. Number 2, I wish that I hadn't worked so hard. Now, I don't think that these people regretted not working so hard because they wished that they had more time to be lazy. If I could rephrase her statement, I would say that I wish that I wouldn't have let work become the focus of my life. We need to ask ourselves, what am I working for? What is my why? We don't live to work. And yet, so many of us forget about the actual living part of life and get caught up into the lie that our lives are work. What really mattered to these people was the relationships that they had missed out on and the experiences that they didn't take advantage of. Our relationships and our experiences are in the end really the things that really matter most, and those are the things that are actually going to bring joy and happiness into our lives, especially at the end and during. Number 3, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I feel like this is the hardest one, at least for me. It's hard sometimes to not remain silent and just act like everything is fine, or to keep the peace, as Bronnie puts it, instead of actually expressing our feelings. She says that those who kept their feelings and emotions within them usually created more problems for themselves in the future. So in situations where we're like angry at someone, which, we all do, is it just express our feelings exactly how they are and then we won't have regrets? I don't think that she means just say whatever we feel like saying. But I don't think, well, I know she doesn't mean to keep the feelings inside of us. We need to express our feelings, but we need to do it in a way that doesn't make us regret our actions even more. Because sometimes we'll say things and we'll regret it later. So we can't just always say unthinkingly whatever we feel like saying. So it really becomes a balance of expressing our feelings in the right way instead of keeping them bottled up inside of us. And of course, every situation is different, right? But we just need to use our best judgment in how to meaningfully and correctly express our feelings so that we don't regret not saying what we should have said, but then also not blindly saying whatever we feel like saying and regretting that we did say it. Number 4, I wish that I had stayed in touch with my friends. Our friendships and our relationships in our lives really can be the things that bring us the most happiness, joy, and pleasure into our lives. And losing those positive relationships in our lives can bring the most sorrow and regret into our lives because of that. Now, of course, relationships go 50-50, and so some of the relationships that I lose are our fault, and then some of which are others, and so we need to keep that in perspective. But the ones that are our fault, that we should have kept, that are positive, those are the ones that we need to keep on, that we need to hold on to not live with that regret and maintain that happiness with us. So, lastly, number 5, I wish I let myself be happier. This is definitely the most important of all of them. Let myself be happier clearly implies that happiness is a choice, and it really is. We get caught up so often in the lie that our life circumstances or our material possessions are the things that actually bring us happiness, but that's not how it is. Those are just distractions. Some of the happiest people in the world live in crazy harsh conditions, but they're happy. How? It all depends on how we process our experiences. It depends on how we see the world. The lens or the perspective in which we see the world literally shapes our feelings and our emotions. And our feelings and our emotions, they shape our actions. So now what? Knowing all that is great, but it's kind of pointless if we don't know how to apply it and live a life without regrets. But really quickly, I want to clarify that living with no regrets does not mean that we are living a perfect life or that we have no flaws. So first, we need to understand that we're obviously not perfect and we're going to mess up, and it's okay. We're going to do things and say things that we wish we wouldn't have done, or we're going to not have said something or not have done something that we wish we would have done or said. And it's okay. We just need to keep getting up and keep trying again. Literally, that's all we need to do. The true and only failure in life is the one that stays down, that doesn't try again. It's a harsh statement, I know, but it's true. Look, you learn most from your failures, and you grow most from the pain that you've experienced in the past. So accept that what has happened in the past is in the past. Let the pain of previous times motivate you to live and choose a better future. Some of the greatest people that I know have lived miserable pasts. They've had so much pain, but they have grown from it. They became more from that. And that's why they're so amazing and have become amazing people that have set great examples for me. And I'm so grateful that they experienced that and have changed my life. Second, know what matters most to you. Know your priorities. Those who don't know precisely what matters most to them will find themselves down paths that they've lost it. They've lost what matters most to them. And it happens. I've seen it happen to people where their actions don't line up with what they really wanted because they didn't know what they really wanted. So if your priority is your family, don't work all day and come home in an energy state in which you can't give your family the love that you want to give them and the love that they need from you. If your priority is your job, then don't let video games or binging on Netflix or anything like that stop you from being able to perform to the best of your ability. Those are just two examples, but you need to find your priorities. I need to find my priorities, and we need to write them down. We need to label them consciously in our mind, know what they are, and then align our actions with them. Know what's most important to you. Don't sacrifice the pleasures of now for the joy and opportunities of your future. And third, I love how David Bednar puts it. He says, just be a good boy or just be a good girl and go. Ultimately, it really just comes down to being that simple. If you're doing your best in all that you do and trying to become better every day, striving to be kind and uplift others along the way, you won't look back with regrets. If you're trying to be the best that you can be every single day, you'll be able to look back on life when that time comes, or if it were to come in 10 minutes, you'd be able to look back and say, I'm ready to go. Thanks, guys. Peace out.